One of the things that I wanted to do in this YouTube channel for the Colonists of Deutschenfeld is show you how to play the game. It's always easier to learn a new game when somebody else is showing you. I can't come to your house necessarily, but I can show you on video how it's done. So basically, you decide who goes first by rolling 2 dice. The one who rolls the highest dice starts the game. And let's just assume that that's what I've done. You then refer to one of these year cards, and we're going to start off with year 5 just because in the earlier years there's not a whole lot going on because of crops not being mature and all the rest of it. So it tells us here that we're in year 5 of 10 tax-free years, so we don't pay any taxes, and the land price now is 600 rubles per 60 dесятines. So that's a little bit of information that we need to know. So now we roll the dice, and the red dice corresponds to this pawn, and we roll it twice. Now each of these surnames, think of it as a square on a game board. And so we roll a 2, jump over these bridges. These are not spaces. You always totally go over them, and you go clockwise. If you're not sure which way to go, just follow the wagons, because this wagon shows this way, this wagon shows this way. So in this case we go 2, so 1, 2, Klein. That may have some impact in a second. And then let's see, 1 goes over here to Finkbeiner. Now I'm just going to change this a little bit, and I'm going to say that the first pawn landed on Gering. And the reason for that is that they will be impacted by this family event, as well as the player whose turn it is. And the colony event this time is the colony has chosen you as its mayor for 1 year. The salary is 500 rubles, but due to the office's demands on your time, you'll not be able to grow any grain for the year, so there will be no income from that. So that will also impact this player, but as you can see, you can only have one mayor. So I think in this case we'll have to roll to figure out who's going to be that person, who's going to be the mayor. So I rolled a 6. It's my turn, and he rolled a 2, so I'm going to be the mayor. I outscored him. That's the way to settle this, because you can't obviously have 2 mayors. So the salary is 500 rubles, which is fantastic. So I get another 500 rubles. That's great. And the only problem, of course, is that I don't get any grain this year because it's too busy for me to harvest. So now we check here, and the colony event is a lightning strike on the west side of the village sparks a raging fire. Colonists there lose their homes and must pay to rebuild them. And you must see the colony family score sheet for the house price. So the west side is this side. So the Finkbeiners and the Hosses, if they were playing, would have to replace their homes. Their home value is $350 right here. And so 350 rubles, sorry. So they're going to have to repay that or purchase that again, so they're going to have to repay back up into the bank. So that's a negative situation for them. This doesn't impact the player whose turn it is unless the one of these pawns landed on that space, but it does impact everybody else because they're on the west side of this village, if that makes sense to you. Anyhow, follow what the card says at all times. So now it's time. Everybody would be impacted by that according to what's described in there. And now we look and indicate what the harvest is for this year. So it's my turn, but remember I'm the mayor, so I don't get any wheat income. Everybody else would get 50 rubles, so you would divvy that out. The herd of cattle is cut in half because of an epidemic. I'm down to 1 cow, and because of that, I can't really do anything about that. So I lose the 1 cow, and now I need another cow in order to have some breeding going on. The price is 10 rubles, so I'm going to have to pay 10 to rebuild my my herd. Now the good news is that the wine harvest, which was one of the mainstays of the Black Sea German colonies, allows me to get 200 rubles. That's the kind of great income that I got from that. So I will get 200 rubles if I can find it here. There we go. And so will everybody else around the game. So that's what happens on this round, and that's the way you play the game. Now, one of the things that I didn't mention earlier is that everybody has a Providence card, and in the case where this happens, let's say the Finkbeiners and the Hosses rather, they're the ones that are playing the game, and they're on the west side. Instead of having to repurchase their home, or rebuild their home after a fire, they can use a Providence card and block that negative impact on them. And that can only be used once. So in this case, the Hosses, who are one of the players who are playing the game, would be protected by that. But use this wisely and sparingly. This card represents the fact that these people were very devout Christian families. I'm blessed to say that I'm one of a long line of Christian families and a heritage, and this card indicates their dependence on God's grace for protection. So so that's the way it works. So basically, at the end of the game, or the round rather, that we've just played, families can do whatever they want to do for purchasing, selling, whatever it is. We see that the price of cattle is pretty low, so you know what? I'm going to buy a bunch of cattle. I'm going to buy 10 head of cattle, just because the price isn't too bad, and that could be a great advantage later on. I'm going to do that. I'm going to build my farmstead. In this case, you got to start off with a well, and that's going to cost you, according to this, 100 rubles. So I got to pay into that. And you need to build this as you go along. If you want to spend more money and keep building it, that's fine. Remember that you can only buy land titles for your sons. In this case, I have 6, so I got to get going pretty fast. You can only do that after you finished building your farmstead. So by this time, we're in year 5. I perhaps would have had more things purchased in previous turns. Let's just assume that. 1, 2, you go in order. 3, etc., etc. So I'm well on my way to building the farmstead. Of course, I have to pay for all of that as we go along. So that's the way it's done. You play 20 years, 20 cards, 20 years of this game. Each time the family event and the colony event is different, so is the harvest, and you play accordingly till you're done. Now, I have provided a way for you to have a shorter game if you want to play a shorter game, and that could be good when perhaps you have up to 6 players playing, and that allows you to basically take out some of these year cards so that there's half as many years to play. That's going to change the dynamics of the game, but that will allow you to get through the game a lot faster. So determining the winner is quite simple. If you have, at the game's end, you give yourself 15 points if you have paid back the crown debt. After this 10-year moratorium, you have to pay it back. As you build this, if you've built all of this by year 20, at game's end, you give yourself 15 points. The number of sons here, I didn't put that in earlier, is 6. The number of land titles acquired is, let's say I was successful in getting 4 only. So you give yourself 15 points for each land title acquired. So that's 4 times 15 is 60, but subtract 10 for each son for whom you have not acquired a land title. That's 2 times 10, 60 minus actually 20. 60 minus 20 is 40 points. So I put 40 points in there. Let's say I was successful here and here. And then at game's end, you give yourself 5 points for each 200 rubles you have in cash, and subtract 5 points for each 200 rubles you owe. Now, you are able to borrow money during the game, but be careful. If you borrow too much and you can't pay it back, you're going to lose some points down here. The total number of points is then added up. The winner is the person with the most number of points at the end of the game. So that's how this game is played. Of course, the instructions have the details. There's more details to it than I haven't explained. I don't think it's an overly complicated game, but there is some details to keep track of. You may come up with your own house rules to decide on some things. That's up to you. But the instructions will work to make this a different game every time you play it. So have fun with the Colonists of Deutschenfeld. Hope you will be playing it soon, and that these instructions here on the video will help you enjoy it just a little bit more. Thanks.